What's happening, everybody? It's Matt here with Deer and Donuts, and I want to let you guys in on a little secret in my life. From the first time my dad let me watch an episode of Home Improvement, Tim Taylor taught me one thing, and that's that more power is never a bad thing. Now, I'm never going to do the grunts like he is, I can't pull it off, but that's really what this video is going to be about. If you've watched some of our other videos, you know I've been looking at buying a new rifle. And it started with the muzzle brake video, which I'll throw right up here. But this in front of you is what I ended up deciding on. It's a Christensen Arms Ridgeline in 26 Nosler. And we're not so much here for the rifle as we are the round that it's going to be chambered in. And that's this bad boy right here, 26 Nosler. Whole lot of case with a really well-performing bullet, really makes this round what it is. So I'm going to dive into the pros, the cons, and kind of what I'm going to expect out of this round. So my pros. What this is a 6.5 Creedmoor on steroids, basically. It's a 6.5 Creedmoor round with a ton of powder behind it. Now, love it or hate it, obviously the 6.5 Creedmoor is a really well-performing round on a lot of different game. It's taken anything from deer, elk, probably even bigger. Don't know that I'd recommend it, but I'm sure it's been done. And when you add this much powder behind it, it's going to be some really special numbers. So let's dive into what that is. Like I said, we're going to compare it to the 6.5 Creedmoor because that's the same round. We're going to look at the Nosler 142 grain AccuBond long range because Nosler loads the 26 Nosler in it, but they also load the 6.5 Creedmoor, so it's an apples to apples comparison. Now, get ready for some crazy numbers. Not that the 6.5 Creedmoor is a poor performing round by any means, but the 6.5 Creedmoor leaves the muzzle at about 2,600 feet per second. This 26 Nosler will not drop to that level until after 400 yards. That's absolutely insane. It'll carry the 6.5 Creedmoor's muzzle energy to that same 400 plus yards. That's absolutely crazy that this round right here is going to be doing everything that 6.5 Creedmoor does at the muzzle at 400 plus yards. Now, if you've heard of point blank range, what that is you sight your rifle in at a certain range and it lets you run anything from 0 to X, whatever the number is, without having to adjust anything on your dope. So if you zero your 26 Nosler at 350 yards, your point blank range is 415 yards. This is a flat enough shooting round that at that range, you don't have to touch your dope for anything between 0 and 415. That is about 99% of every hunting shot in the entire world. Now, what do all these numbers really mean for you? Well, for me, what the big pros are is it really trims my margin for error. That speed allows the bullet drop to be almost half of what a 6.5 Creedmoor is. We'll take 600 yards, for example. 600, I think, is the max that the vast majority of hunters would ever consider. So at 600 yards, the 6.5 Creedmoor is dropping 94, 95 inches, somewhere in there. This 26 Nosler, right around 54. That's a huge window to be off just a little bit, and this flat round is going to really make up for a lot of your errors in ranging or trigger work. Now, obviously, we want to be as perfect as we can when we're shooting at another live creature, but it's impossible to be 100% perfect. So anything that's going to trim that margin for error in my favor, I'm all about. Same with wind drift. Obviously 6.5 Creedmoor, great with wind, but this is going to do even better because it's moving so much faster. Now, another big pro for me is the fact that I'm not going to be pushing this bullet to its absolute peak performance to get out to some of the ranges I might want to. If I get out to that 600 yards, which is probably going to be about the max of what I want to shoot, 600-700 yards, this 26 Nosler can do that and more with no issues. So I'm not taking this round out to its absolute max and my absolute max because I think that's a recipe for disaster. This round is going to be good way past what I can shoot, and that's really what I'm looking for. Now, before we jump into the cons of this rifle caliber, Tom and Scott have really been cracking the whip here at Deer and Donuts. Apparently, I'm not quite up to their standards, so I can't move on with this video until I get a certain number of subscribers. So if you like rifle videos, if you like hunting videos, or just the outdoors in general, if you like deer and or donuts, and who doesn't like donuts, do me a favor, jump on down, hit that red subscribe button. Really, I can't move on. That one, right, yep, you. Right down, yeah, there it is. Good, I like it. Now let's move on to the cons. And it's a pretty lengthy list, unfortunately. This is never gonna make my list of most effective rifle calibers. To me, that's probably still the 7mm Remington Magnum, but this is gonna be a really fun round for me to play with. And it's gonna check a lot of the boxes of things I like to do in Arizona, so that's kind of why I moved to it. You only live once, right? So let's jump into the cons. And my first one is rifle and ammo availability. Now this Christensen Arms is one of the ones you can get. You can also get some Nosler rifles in it. Neither of those are cheap production guns. And unfortunately, those are the only two companies I could find that make a rifle chambered in 26 Nosler. 28 Nosler is a lot more popular right now, but for what I wanted 26 Nosler. Really was a small amount of choices. Now obviously you can build a custom rifle, get it in 26 Nosler, but that's going to be very expensive and it's going to take some time to do, which really just hurts that rifle availability argument. Now the next thing is, like I said, that ammo availability. This I could not find on any shelves from Nosler. I actually had to go through a company called Hendershots to get this hand loaded. Now Hendershots does some cool things. I wasn't necessarily upset with it. You can really pick what round you want to basically build and they'll reload it for you. But it's difficult to find. I had to wait like 3 weeks for my ammo. Pretty good to turn around and hand load, but if you want it now, not gonna happen. Now speaking of ammo, that's the next thing. This is an expensive rifle to shoot. You're never gonna take this out, or maybe you're able to. Kudos to you, I can't. But you're never gonna take this out and really just plink with it, get a ton of trigger time, anything like that. And it's for a couple of reasons, but first off, this is $120 per 20 rounds. It really hurt to put in my online cart, and it's probably not something that this is just gonna be a casual thing of, oh, well, I couldn't get my rifle in a different caliber, so I guess I'll get it in 26 Nosler. I think this is gonna be something you really have to want and seek out to be willing to pay those prices. Now, the other thing you have to build in the cost of this rifle is going to be your barrel life. Because this is such a fast round coming out of the barrel, it's really hard on it. Now, if you're doing what you're supposed to, taking cold bore shots, really taking care of this barrel, I've seen people getting 1,000, 2,000 rounds out of their barrel. And for most hunters, that's gonna be almost a lifetime of shooting. But I've also seen forums where people take the 26 Nosler to its absolute limits, and they're already seeing throat erosion at 200 rounds. 200 rounds is really, really bad, guys. So you really gotta factor that into the cost of this rifle. Now the next thing is barrel length. To get the max benefit out of all of this powder, you gotta run a long barrel, let it really burn all the way. If you're a Midwest whitetail hunter in a tree stand, or you're going through bogs, swamps, something of that nature, you might want a little bit more compact rifle, and that's not this. The shortest you're gonna wanna go is 26 inches, and I've seen ones even longer. Now, when you're comparing it to that 6.5 Creedmoor, I've seen Creedmoors in 16-inch barrels. So you're knocking 10 inches just off the barrel. So if you're looking for a super compact, wieldy rifle, that's never gonna be the 26 Nosler. Or if you make in that, you're definitely sacrificing a lot of performance. Now, the final thing that's a con for me, I wasn't able to find a lot of information about. It's just a fear of mine. And that's the short range bullet performance. Anytime a round is coming out at 3,300 feet per second from the muzzle, I worry about what it's gonna do at short ranges to that bullet, whether it's just gonna fragment and disintegrate and blow apart, or if you're really gonna get the bullet performance you're looking for. So like I said, mentioning those Midwest whitetail hunters, if you're looking at something where you're taking 100-yard shots over a field and that's it, this 26 Nosler is gonna be way more than what you need, and honestly, it's probably not even effective for what you're trying to do. So that's my final con, is the short range bullet performance, and that's something I'm gonna have to test on my own. But again, that's gonna be the fun part of this round, is testing it, playing with it. around with the numbers that I mentioned at the beginning is going to be crazy fun to see what it can do. So stay tuned. Come on back. I'm going to update how I like the 26 Nosler as I play with it a little bit more, try and develop loads, stuff like that. And I hope you guys join me for that ride. But until next time, I'm Matt with Deer and Donuts. Goodbye.